So I want to discuss a scene you've cited as a particularly strong example of your work, and it's the scene in My Big Fat Greek Wedding where Tula's in the bedroom and the parents are discussing her college ambitions. How do you construct a scene like that in terms of where it fits in the screenplay?
I wanted to show the hardworking Greek immigrant lifestyle. I wanted to show that these people come over with a dream and that welfare is not an option for them. And I wanted to show this place that supports an entire family. And then I thought, you know what? We've had so much going on in this diner. Let's see where these people live and let's see what they dress like. And I thought everyone got everything right. The costumer with the, everything that Lainey Sam was wearing and the way Michael Constantine and Lainey played it was like a dream come true for me because that scene, although that had been in the play, I had never visualized it the way it was suddenly right before my eyes. What I love about the way parents argue in real life is that there's always affection there. In my experience, that there's this family that can scream at each other and a minute later be like, pass the lamb.
Right.
And so I do truly believe that in every family, of course, there is the dominant and the person that's more submissive, but it changes.
Remarkably universal truisms, no matter what ethnic group.
Yes, and I think it changes. I think that sometimes the sister can manipulate the brother and vice versa. So I wanted to see the casual manipulation that happens in a family that's done without malice.
When you're writing a script like this and you get to a point where you're saying, now I want to see where these people live. Is it mapped out in advance, or did that come from just, as you were writing, you decided when you got there that it was going to be the bedroom? Yeah,
it's definitely when I get there. It's when you're just working all day, whether you work in a radio station and you're sitting in a cubicle or something and you just need air.
Yeah.
That's what I sometimes find when I'm writing. I'm like, I've been here, I need air, and then I just go here.
Right.
And if sometimes, when I go back in the rewrite process, I will change and move things around, but it's definitely just as I'm going, and I do this because that's how I write, like I talk and improvise, that I just suddenly think, let's put in a park, let's go there.
Now, are you conscious of the scene fulfilling multiple objectives? Like, were you conscious of, I'm also developing characters in this scene?
Yes, I think throughout the story, throughout any screenplay, you start with, how I was saying that I write from a character point of view. So everybody, in my opinion, has to make sense. You must know, well, why is she doing this and why is she doing this? But rather than consciously try to do it, I just try to be that person, and then it just seems to form on the page.
One of the things in that scene that kind of comes through is this entrenched cultural chauvinism that's kind of built into a lot of groups, but certainly in the group you're illustrating. Did you draw from real life for that kind of stuff?
Yes, definitely. My dad was not anti-education in any way, but I grew up in this family where
women were women, men were men.
Yeah, and things that were actually in the screenplay were said to me, like the man is the head, but the woman is the neck, and she can turn the head any way she wants. Things like that. My mom one time said, I said, "You're such a submissive Greek woman," and that's when she said to me, we might be lambs in the kitchen, but we're tigers in the bedroom. And I went, ew, 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 and just most of my life was growing up with going ew with my parents in any reference to sexuality or anything. But my brother said it's like everything I ever heard I put into a Rolodex in my head, and then I pull it out and just do it that way.
Did you write other details into that scene? Other details that you pulled from that file cabinet in your head?
I would say the whole thing felt real to me. It's nothing in the movie really actually happened like I wrote it. But it definitely just came from a place of authenticity because I am that girl in some way. I mean, I definitely feel some ways that I'm Tula, and in other ways I feel like I am the mother, and I can definitely feel like the father some ways that, like, I'll say things and realize, man, I am so Greek. Like I said, well, I don't think my cousin should bring his date to the wedding because then she'll be in all the photographs and we don't know she's going to be a part of our family. I'm like, what is this, 1940s Greece?
Is that a very Greek thing?
Very Greek thing, and it would be something that my dad would say. So, we are who we are. We definitely, we rail against becoming our parents, and then we are them anyway.
Yeah, I guess a WASP family wouldn't have themselves in the photographs, just the strangers. Was that scene always in the script?
Yes, always in the script, always definitely there. Actually, a couple of the scenes didn't really change through the rewrite process. I found the original first screenplay that Playtone bought, and I realized, man, some of the things just do not change because they're just there for a reason. And then other things are completely different, like the proposal scene was a 4-page scene.
Oh, was that fascinating to look back and see those kind of things?
Yeah, and I'm glad that I was, you know, as a writer, we're supposed to trust ourselves. We're supposed to trust our instincts. But, you know, when we're creating, we have that voice in our heads telling us we know nothing. And I think you should listen to both. Because if you are so sure that you're absolutely right, you will not take in from your environment. And if you're so sure that you're wrong, then, you know, stay at home.
Right.
And so with that scene, in particular, the proposal scene, the chemistry that was between John Corbett and myself when we were acting was so palpable. It was just so there. I just so genuinely liked him. And watching dailies, I thought, we don't need that scene. We don't need it. And what I loved about him is we'd rehearse it and I'd just go, cut your sides. And I'd take his sides and just go, and cut. And he'd just look at them or change lines or rewrite and he'd go, okay, baby.
Right.
And just do it.
That's
and
the challenge of having
that.
your scene partner be the writer as well.
Yeah, I love that. On Connie and Carla, I did the same thing, and the drag queens were making me laugh so hard every day that I just wrote them more stuff.
Do you change your approach if you know you're writing for yourself in terms of dialogue?
Yes, definitely. I try to, well, as an actor, I'm trying to play parts that are different now. I don't want to just keep playing.
Sure.
I could have made a franchise out of it and done My Big Fat Greek Wedding 6 by now. But yeah, I just, you know, every couple of months I'll read in the paper that we're doing a sequel and I'm like, we are? Yeah, it's not in my heart yet. And so I just think I've gotten this amazing opportunity and I get to write these characters for myself. So I want to play some different stuff.
And when you're writing a part for yourself, as a writer, is it different when you're writing for the part you're going to play as opposed to the other parts and the screenplay at large?
Well, I learned something very important at Second City, and that is that you're only as strong as your scene partner. So I try to write ensemble pieces where everybody gets to have fun and everybody gets to be funny, because I don't want just everyone there supporting me and clumping at craft services and complaining about me like egomaniac. You know, I just want, it's like my party. I want everyone to have a good time and have fun, and also be able to come to me and say, you know what I'd like to do? I'd love to do that. David Duchovny did that a couple of times on Connie and Carla and was so respectful about when he chose to do it. Like, not the makeup trailer at 4 a.m. when I'm being turned into a drag queen. So I'd be like, what? I can't, what? But you know, I love that. I love it. And it's a really fun thing to be able to do. Or, you know, we cast one of my friends on My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and I, you know, wrote her extra scenes so she could get her insurance.
Oh,
like,
cool.
that's fun. You know, that's you know, that's the joy of this.
You try to make it as much as like the party you're throwing. You want to have a good time.
It's a party. It definitely is. You know, I can't believe I get to do this for a living, and so I'm just going to milk it.
Given the strong accents that the characters have in the movie, do you write with the accents written into the script, or you just write the dialogue naturally and then the actors bring the accents to it?
I wrote a little of both. Sometimes I would try to write how Greeks actually speak, and it came out a little pidgin and looked special. So I went back and fixed it and thought, I think the actors can do that.
What are the dangers of doing that too much on the page?
Well, I unfortunately have a theory that anything said with an accent is funny. So I tend to go to it, and I'm trying not to do it as much. Even Brooklyn is funnier than, you know, San Diego. It's just funny. It's the attitude that comes behind it. Yeah. So I try not to rely. It's a crutch, and I'm trying not to do it right now. How do you write for other people in terms of, like, you know, an older black gentleman or a foreign character? Like, how do you put yourself in their voice? I spy quite a bit, actually. I go and I talk to people, and there's like, let's say at the Rite Aid, there's a woman who I just kind of tend to listen to her and how she speaks, and then I try to emulate it, and so it's not her character, it's sometimes speech pattern, and this character, let's say, is an amalgamation of these 7 people, and then this guy's funny, lilting speech.
So you're like a student of human behavior.
Yeah, and the weirdest thing about becoming a known person is that was taken from me.
Oh, interesting.
I'm doing research on a script, the one for Universal, and I went into a store and I said, hey, so I'm thinking of buying one of these bikes. And he went, are you writing a screenplay about this store? It was so, I was like busted. And I went completely red and was sweating and I went, no, I'm gonna buy a bike.
That's a production savvy clerk.
Exactly. Yeah, because it was a motorcycle and I guess I just am not the type. Like, no, dude. Oh.
Right.
So
is that harder for you now? How do you compensate?
I let them get out their story about their Greek friend, and then I ask them the questions that I need to ask.
Right. Do you ever record conversations or take notes, or you just kind of watch and then it stays in your mind?
It stays in my mind. It's sometimes something can happen. I'll be in a fitting room and I'll hear two Beverly Hills broads in the other fitting room, and it's a moment where I have to close my eyes and just try to mentally preserve it, because. Well, and then sometimes you run into people in Los Angeles that are so caricatures that you couldn't write that. You couldn't write some of the situations that we live right here. Well, people would be like, doesn't happen.
What was the inspiration for Connie and Carla?
Actually, that was one of the ones that at page 30 I veered off and made a different movie.
Oh, interesting.
I wanted to write about musical theater because I'm a gay man, actually. And so my CD collection is embarrassing. My husband goes, hide it.
So your marriage is a sham.
Yes. Yeah, I'm the beard.
Right.
Yeah, so I wanted to write about this world, and all I had were two women, and they're in Chicago because Chicago was very, very good to me, and I like to write movies that take place there because I think the people are so authentic.
How'd you get through the winters?
Well, I'm from Winnipeg, so I was used to it. But it truly is the Windy City. You will be blown up against a building, and just people will pass you like, how you doing? It is windy. So that's it. I just wanted to write about musical theater, and as I got them in Los Angeles, I had them in a club, and wouldn't it be funny if the two guys, they were like, everything had gone wrong in their lives, and now they're dancing with two guys, and the two guys kiss, and that, and then I went, hold on, and then went back and made it an entire movie about drag queens, and I learned a lot. I have immense respect for the men who tuck.
Right. It looks like a complicated process.
It is complicated, and they were so happy to show me how they did it.
I guess it depends on how much heat you're packing.
Yeah.
What went into the decision to segue My Big Fat Greek Wedding into a series and not the traditional sequelitis that occurs to big hit movies? What was your reasoning behind doing a series?
Well, actually, the thing that really never got out is that I had signed to do the series before the movie came out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we didn't really have a distributor for about a year and a half. And so getting desperate, I had done the one-woman show at the Montreal Comedy Festival and got approached to do a series. So I was contractually obligated, even though I knew that it wasn't really the thing to do. But I love my cast. We had these writers who did their best, and it just didn't work.
Right. Were you involved in the writing and development of that?
Well, trying to be, but I was in Europe promoting the movie that would just not close. We were in theaters for 10, 11 months.
Right.
I mean, it was so much fun that I just was never going to complain about anything.
Right. Was it difficult adapting to the television process?
Only because I had so much autonomy in the screenwriting process and continue to. So having now gone through the process of writing by committee, I realized it's not for me. I don't love it. I love creating by committee with one person at the helm. I love handing my screenplays over to a director and saying, be careful with my baby. I love all that. I think one person should be in charge. But I just don't think it's for me. It works for some people.
When you say committee, like what is the committee of a television show or the development? How did it become a committee thing?
I don't know, actually. I don't know how it became that a lot of writers sit in a room and come up with things. It's a really cool, fertile environment, and it really works for some people. I like the stillness of my office. I sometimes will say to a friend, okay, if I'm stuck. So the father and the son have not seen each other for 9 years, and the father comes in, and would he speak? Would they just look at each other? And before the friend can even answer, I'm like, and I got it. So sometimes just verbalizing will get me past it. But so I don't write with a partner or anything, but I really have the incredible luxury of ridiculously talented Second City friends that I can give my screenplay to before I hand it into the studio and go, what do you think? Does this make sense?
Right.
What are the logic leaps? And I have a process of, I just said that word, but I give it to 3 people and only 3. And
Still, to this day, the same 3?
No, it changes because
Okay.
sometimes people are busy and I
So
don't...
you call up the second string?
yeah. Old boyfriends, who's ever in town.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a sounding board for you?
Yeah, well, sometimes too, some people are better than others for this particular genre.
Okay.
Like, I Hate Valentine's Day is a romantic comedy. So even though the target market, I would hope, is not just women, I gave it to 2 women and a guy this time. And I said to the women, is it romantic? And I said to the guy, does it make you sick?
Okay, so it changes with the type of project.
Yeah.
Your group of advisors or sounding board.
Yeah, and I think it's good. Just try, I think as a writer, I try not to give it to too many people, especially if you get good feedback, then
Right.
you want to give it to more, but
Right.
don't.
Quit while you're ahead.
Yes, yeah.
How do you respond to criticism? Is that hard for you?
Not anymore because of Second City. I learned to be, tough. You can tell the note that is really just about someone wants to be heard.
Right.
You can tell, I think, the note that is about making the script better. And even if it's an idea that you've investigated, sometimes it's best to just kind of go, let me think on that, and go back and
Right.
because if they do not feel that her motivation is clear from the first act, then there's a reason. And they're one person in your committee of development, to me, is 1/3 of your audience who's going to be scoring you. So you might as well investigate it now before you shoot it.
Right.
And then you're in a test screening going, damn it!
Right.
Why didn't I listen to that note?
Well, My Big Fat Greek Wedding kind of is one of those movies that transcends traditional rules of box office or just even how you market a movie. It obviously struck this huge chord. What do you think what happened with the TV series? Like, why do you think it didn't succeed in that format when it had reached so many people and was relatable to so many people as a feature?
I did not have a chance to write the series. They did their best. There was a time constraint. They did their best, and they just didn't know the characters. And that's all that happened, but they tried so hard.
Right. But they couldn't be you, and it was a very personal, authentic story, and that's what, and the honesty of the film probably accounts for why it touched and reached so many people.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because my name was on it, and I didn't have a chance to get in that room as much as I should have been. It was a lesson learned to never shoot material before it's ready, but that's the nature of television. It's not their fault. That's what they do.
Right.
They hit stuff while they're hot, and they should, because look at what happened with Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Sure.
Gone.
Yeah, they ran that into the ground.
Exactly. So it happens, and series fail so often, but I think that's the nature of creativity too. You got to put it out there.
Was that the lesson you took from that TV experience, that you can't shoot without finished scripts, and the script really needs to get done before you start producing a TV series?
Yeah, it was one of those things that from the beginning, the lessons that I learned in theater school of don't try to fit in. Just because this is the process doesn't mean it's your process. Those are all things that really didn't go into my skull, and probably are not completely in, because I'm still second-guessing myself as an artist. Everybody does. But the one thing that I try not to do is force creativity and force things to be shot before they're ready. And if it's not ready, if you don't feel right about it, don't turn it in. Put it in a drawer until they call for it.
How do you typically develop an idea once you've got the initial kind of lightning bolt about it? How does it germinate from a seed to a first draft?
Well, the 2 scripts that I'm writing right now are both completely different processes. So the one for Universal was an idea that was told to me in 4 story points, and then I got to fill in the rest. So I did the same process. I listened to the story points, I wrote them down, I post-it noted them to my, is that the verb? And, to my,
it is now. You're Oscar nominated. You could make up
That's
whole
right,
phrases if you want.
Yeah.
Now, who supplies the 4 points? Where does that come from?
Those came from Tom Hanks.
Okay.
He had 4 things that he thought would make a good story,
right.
And he's absolutely right. And again,
I would take his word for it.
Yeah, I think he knows what he's doing. And so I put those 4 points on my lamp, and then I just wrote, and that was
your lamp.
Yeah, my lamp in my office, click, and so they're illuminated. Like, these came from Tom. And then for I Hate Valentine's Day, I just went back in, told them the idea, went home and wrote. And then that was the one that I was stuck on. I got to a point in the story that I worried that the guy was wimpy, and I didn't know what to do. And so I went to Australia and just thought it over.
And then you're able to come back with a fresh start.
Mm-hmm.
Do you reread a lot as you go along? Do you read back and then rewrite that section before you write a new section?
No, I never go back and reread. Well, for now, I mean, so far in my screenplays, I have not gone back. I just keep going and push on until I finish, and then I go back.
Do you ever go looking for inspiration and detail to layer into your scripts? Mm-hmm. Where do you go?
To the source of what I'm writing about. The I Hate Valentine's Day is about a flower shop, right. And even though I was a florist, of course I don't know everything. Right. So that's been a joy to just kind of walk around the LA Flower Mart, go and talk to a couple of florists about their experiences, and also it's all about romance. So I'm grilling my friends on, well, why? Well, why didn't you call him back? Well, what happened? And then what happened? Right. And really hearing everyone's story about romance and this forced hallmark of a holiday that can really make us feel inconsequential if you don't get a little Valentine.
Is everyone's story, are there truisms in each story, or are they all different?
Yeah, because even people married in the happiest of relationships feel this daunting February 14th coming upon them. And I thought I was alone in that, but I found that a lot of people feel it.
When you're given an idea, how do you bring structure to it? Like for the Valentine's Day project, for example, how did you end up mapping out the structure for that after they gave you the idea? I
think it's the same thing as a story. You know how you tell a story that happened to you in college or in high school, and over the years of telling it, you know the beginning, middle, and end, you know what to punch, and you know which character gets the biggest laughs. That's kind of when I start writing. I know where I'm going, but I don't outline on cards. And I got stuck because I realized I was at the end of my movie and I was on page 80. And that's never happened to me before. And so what happened is I let it go, I put it away. I had the luxury of, thank God I'd started it early. And I went away and I just thought about it and thought about it and thought, what happened, what's wrong? And then stopped thinking about it, stopped obsessing. And it came to me that the depth that is now in the screenplay was missing. I went back and I didn't go back and reread. I just, from page 80, took it to another level. Oh, wow. And now I'm really pleased with what's in it because it's further than I had ever intended to go. So it was a lesson for me to not be afraid of just writing, improvising, writing, and then if you get to page 80 and just follow your soul.
So it wasn't a question of rewriting the 80 to be 120. You added to the 80.
I added. I went somewhere else with it. The whole story is about romance, and it was from my character's point of view. But I try to write male characters that are not going to turn the audience off, and in some way, so that men can sit through the film too. And
do you think that to do that for men, that's where the sheer comedy comes in?
To do it for men?
To have a romantic comedy that men will want to go see. Do you feel like the comedy bears the burden of getting the men interested more than the romance?
I think story, character, everything. I'm hoping to appeal to both sexes. Right. I'm hoping that even though I'm clearly a woman and I'm writing from a woman's point of view, that I also write guys that make sense, and that the men are not going to be like, oh God, that doesn't happen. And so that's when I realized that this story is far more interesting if we hear about Greg, the male character's point of view, and it was way more fun. Right.
Now, how do you get the male point of view? Do you talk to men, or how do you come by Greg's point of view?
I think we're both. I think that men and women have, of course, a male and female side, and so in some of us it's more prevalent. And so I kind of tend to write, when I'm trying to write a male character, just write someone more glib and more facile.
Insensitive.
Yeah, and just, I just kind of think that it's easy if you just kind of tap into your inner guy.
Right. Did you do that? I imagine when you did improv, you played male characters.
Yeah.
Did performing guys help you write guys?
I guess it did. I never really realized till right now.
There you go.
I guess it did. And it's definitely something that I hope to get better at. And it's not something that I think, I do very well. I don't know what I do well, to tell you the truth. I know there's that moment of connection with an audience where some guy walked up to me and said, I'm Scottish, I married a woman from Israel, and I am Tula. And I was like, okay.
Right.
You know, and that's amazing. It's amazing that I think right now in Russia it's being illegally downloaded and watched. Cool. You know, it's a cool feeling to know that something from your upbringing, your traditional life can touch and connect to somebody. And so
were you aware of thematically, I know you were dealing with universal themes, but were you aware how universal that was going to play?
No, not at all. I mean, I'm not that smart. I just wrote about my little family and then found out everyone's got this family. The person who knew was Tom Hanks. From the beginning, he said, this is about everyone's family. And I thought, oh, he's so sweet and taller than I thought. You know, it just really was, I didn't want to contradict anybody because I was like, they're making my movie. So I just kind of tried to be as small as possible and look pretty whenever I was around them. And then I realized that there is a gift in it all. And again, it's another word I hate. Gift, burden, all those, you know. I get to write. I get to play characters that are really fun. I get to tell stories that I'd like to see. And so rather than just be a person who wrote a movie out of necessity and desperation, I realized, oh man, every door swung open in my face. I'm gonna walk through them all. I mean, I get to meet really interesting development people who are here for a reason. They want to tell stories, and you know, this city is so interesting to me. It attracts the most driven, untalented, and the most creative, amazing people. It attracts people who were outcasts in high school, who were most likely to have been locked in a locker and are now running a studio. You know, and it's.
Did you read my bio? Is that why?
Sorry that happened.
All right, I got over it.
So yeah, so I like it. I like it here, and I think the key to writing about real life is to live one.
Right.
To get out of this city every once in a while. That a vacation in Los Angeles is not Ojai Spa.
What's your favorite go-to place to get away from it all?
I go to Greece, actually, ironically.
Right to the source.
Yeah, I go to Winnipeg, my hometown, which is incredibly great and humbling, you know, to have... When the movie was crossing all these crazy lines of, oh my God,
the milestones and stuff.
Yeah, and you know, it had crossed 100 million, and we were like, are you kidding? And we now had distribution in Europe that we didn't have before, and all sorts of things were happening. And I said, Mom, it's like I'd just gotten off the phone with Playtone. I said, Mom, it's breaking all these records, and it's just nuts. And there's an article going to be in Daily Variety, and my mom went, that's nice, get the chicken out of the oven.
Keeps it humble.